just how much, when we're talking about the economic cost of these protests? Well, the protests are good. Well, arguably, from one end, the protests are good because it's giving people the voice to talk about issues of cost of living and all these things. But you also have small-scale traders, the hawkers who are also selling things. Were they affected? How, to what extent were they affected?
Zainab, when you look at the effects of the protest and everything, what happened on Monday, it boils down to, do we really need to go through this road again? Because you look at...
But then how do you create that balance? You want... These people are also suffering. They're making less than $1 a day or so, perhaps, if we can look at the statistics. But then again, the voice is there by going out to the streets, but they're also hurting when we do go to the streets. Where do you create that balance?
And I think that's where Joseph actually alluded to that. And is it... Yes, we have genuine issues, and especially the cost of living is very high. But the modus operandi of the mode of operation of how we are tackling this issue is wanting. Because when you look at the cost, like for example, what happened on Monday, the Deputy President talked about 2 billion shillings. I don't know how he came to that figure. But the amount of money that is lost and business that is lost and the credibility even of this economy, because the stability of the economy also brings investors in this country. When you look at the common mwananchi, the issue that we are having is an issue of policy, and I'll tell you the reason why. And policy boils down even to leadership. The government, yes, has a role to cushion and to mitigate this situation. And when they get that role, or because that role is within their reach, what are they doing about it? Who are the leaders that you're bringing on board? Like, for example, we are talking about the subsidies. The subsidies, if they are taken advantage of by right leaders who are patriotic enough to cushion their people, it can cushion us as the government tries to build up policies that are going to cushion the common mwananchi. That's number one. Number two, we are a government that is that spends more than it makes. We must cut our coat according, cut our clothes according to our size. We are heavy spenders. Like the other day when you look at the newspapers, I don't know how true that is, but there was an allocation of about 800 million to buy cars, for some government officials. Is it a priority? So when you look at the priorities that you're bringing on board as a government, they are wanting, what is that vision that you needed to, to come up with, or that vision that you had for Kenyans? Because right now what is supposed to be done is, can we be able to mitigate the issue on the cost of living, the unga, the petroleum? Some of these dynamics is the government coming and cushioning its citizenry, and also coming up with policy. And let me tell you something, Zainab. My colleague here, my panelist, has talked about like 46% of what Kenyans are making is going to go to food. When are you going to even pay taxes? And number two, you find that the government here is heavily taxing businesses. So look at what happens on Monday. Look at that concoction. Look at that cocktail of problems. The government should come up with priorities. What should they do first? Number one, cushion the citizenry, because they talked, when they were doing the campaigns, they said they are going to change. How are they going to change? When you talk about the subsidiaries, they should come back with those subsidiaries, and they should cushion, because the subsidiaries were benefiting a few people, like what you have read in the newspapers. But if it's done in the right way, first cushion people so that they can be able to have 3 meals in a day. Then from there come up with policies which govern and help businesses to thrive. Today, if you talk about the cottage industries in this country, it's too expensive. We are highly consuming nation. We are depending on importations. The other day we had issues with Kenya Revenue Authority by coming up with policies which are very abrupt. So there's no even credibility of how they went, how the process went. And the constitution allows them to come and sit down with stakeholders and agree on some of these policies. So you find that you cannot have predictability of your businesses. So if, for example, you're importing things from China, today you are paying 2.5, the other day you're going to pay 5.5. So where is that predictability? So when you look at the government's policy on business, it must change. And it's a high time that Parliament takes its role. by coming up with policies and listening to different stakeholders. Because
so you're talking about also the issue of priority.
The issue of priority.
Okay.
Because this is not an overnight thing. Let's not even try to think that's going to change in the near future. But first, let the government come up with policies that are going to mitigate and to assist and to cushion the Wanjiko.
All right.
Yeah.